Hare Krishna. I'd like to welcome all of you all to our applied Srimad Bhagavatam classes once again. थोड़ा साउंड बढ़ा सकते क्या? Can you tell the sound system person? They are there. So today we'll be continuing from Kunti Maharani's prayers. The last two sessions we have been doing Kunti's prayers sequentially, and we're going to be doing the last 7 prayers of Kunti Maharani today. So for those who have not heard the first two sets or first two sessions, please do hear them, hear the recordings, so you get the continuity. So today will be the grand finale of Kunti Maharani's prayers, and hopefully it's actually somehow by Krishna's arrangement, the way this sequence of sessions that the verses that we're doing today, it's actually building up towards Janmashtami. Some of the verses that we're going to be doing today, it's absolutely Krishna's arrangement and the way these verses have come. It's not planned that I was in Ayodhya last year and last week and the class didn't happen. It just happened like that, and I was amazed when I saw the set of verses that we're going to be doing today. Okay, so let us start our session by doing the first verse, which is verse number 32 today. So we can all chant this verse together. Kechidahur ajam jatam punya shlokasya kirtaye yado priyasyan vavaya yadho priyasyan vavaye malayasyeva chandanam. The translation of this: some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of the pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as a sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills. So in this verse, Kunti is trying to say that, O Lord, you are the fragrance. Now what is the meaning of you are the fragrance? And specifically this example that she is using, Malaya Seva Chandanam, is a very pertinent example. So it is said that the Malaya hills are known because sandalwood is grown there. So now the entire Malaya hill is known because of sandalwood. It is said Malaya Seva Chandanam. So whenever they talk about sandalwood, they'll say Malaya Seva Chandanam. It's sandalwood that appears in the Malaya hills. So that means the sandalwood is what is important. That's what is fragrant. But because Malaya hill is connected to the sandalwood, this Malaya hill also becomes fragrant, or it becomes famous. So Kunti is using this example to say that because Krishna is born in the Yadu Vansh, the entire family of the Yadus has become famous. Otherwise, who knows the Yadus? Otherwise, who knows the Yadavas? Because Krishna is born there, that entire dynasty, entire family has got a special type of fragrance. To help us understand this, let us take an example of a story that is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but I am going to refer to some aspect of what is in the Brahma Vaivata Puran. So in the Brahma Vaivata Puran, the story of Putana is mentioned slightly in a different way. Of course, there are multiple versions of Putana's story in different Puranas. In fact, Putana's story comes in many Puranas. And in one of the Puranas, Putana comes not as a Rakshasi. She comes as a huge owl. And in this one, in the Brahma Puran, it is explained that Putana had the ability to change her form by the blessing of a mantra given by Durvas Muni. So Durvas Muni gave her this mantra, by chanting which Putana could change her form at will. So she entered Gokul disguised as a very beautiful woman. And when the ladies of Gokul, they asked her, who are you? What is your identity? She said, I am the wife of a Brahmana from Mathura. So she lied about her, who she is. And she said, I have come here to bless the newly born son of Nanda Maharaj. So hearing this, the ladies were so happy. They just gave her full access to the house. She can go anywhere she wants. And Putana entered and she saw Krishna sleeping on the bed. And the moment she saw Krishna sleeping on the bed, she felt that this child has unlimited powers. And this child is like fire covered by ashes. She could make out, very strongly. So Putana, when she entered and she saw Krishna close by, she saw Krishna close his eyes. Krishna was completely blissfully sleeping with his eyes closed. And Jiva Goswami gives 6 reasons why Krishna's eyes were closed. When we go to sleep, there is no reason except that we are sleepy. There is no other transcendental reason behind why we sleep, isn't it? But when Krishna closes his eyes, there are so many deeper reasons why he does that. The first reason, he wanted to exhibit extreme childishness and fearfulness. Because Krishna wanted to act like a regular child. And he closed his eyes. The second was, he wanted to avoid looking at a wicked person who has killed so many children in the past. And third, he wanted to avoid her hypnotizing glances. He knew that she is a witch. So if I look at her in her eyes, my mother has told me not to look at strangers in the eyes. And the fourth, it is said, something within Putana told her, stay away from this baby. Even demons have Paramatma within their heart, which give them some intuitions. Obviously the demons don't hear them, that's a different story. But inside Putana, some voice told her, stay away from this baby, stay away from this child. And in order to give assurance to this baby, to Putana, it's okay, I am a child only. Krishna closed his eyes so that she would not get frightened of him. The fifth reason is, Krishna closed his eyes because he wanted to hide his shame and confusion at having to kill someone who has come disguised as a mother. Whatever it is, she has come as a mother to serve me, to take care of me, And even though killing was for her benefit, he was thinking that, I'm feeling so ashamed to kill her. So this was because Krishna was an ocean of good qualities, and therefore he closed his eyes. And the sixth reason why Krishna closed his eyes was because he was feeling bad that the first demon he was killing was a woman. And in the Shastras it is written that killing of women, brahmanas, cows and children is prohibited. But still he had to do it. So he closed his eyes and did it. Now Putana, she picked up Krishna and she offered her breast to him to suck. And Krishna began sucking her breast, sucking her milk. And it is said, the power of destruction within Krishna has different Shaktis. One of the Shaktis of Krishna is known as Samhara Shakti, the power to destroy. So that Samhara Shakti of Krishna sucked the life out of Putana. So Acharya is saying Krishna didn't kill her. The Samhara Shakti of Krishna killed her. So Putana, she started howling and shouting. When Krishna was sucking her milk, he was actually sucking a life out of her. And Putana was shouting, she was saying, leave me, leave me, leave me. And Krishna is trying to tell her, that is the only thing I don't know to do. Once I catch a person, I don't know how to leave that person. So the Acharyas give such a beautiful commentary, Putana is telling, leave me, out of pain, And Krishna is saying, I don't know how to leave you. What an amazing thing, isn't it? If only if Krishna catches somebody, he can never leave that person. Some way or the other, Krishna holds that person in some way or the other. In this world, if someone gives us advice, someone gives us the nectar of advice, we reciprocate with poison, isn't it? If someone gives us good advice, good feedback, we get very upset because it's not easy to handle good feedback, isn't it? So they are giving us nectar, but in return we give poison. But in Krishna's world, if someone gives him poison, he gives back nectar. So Putana gave him poison, but he gave her back the nectar of the spiritual world. So therefore, when Krishna kills his opponents, he gives them Vaikuntha. He gives them something much, much higher. So the Acharyas explained, if he can benefit so much by killing you, how much more he can benefit with his embrace. So when Putana died, she resumed her original form. So she was like a regular human being, regular size, when she had taken that beautiful form. But the moment Krishna was sucking out her life air, she was in so much agony and pain, she resumed her original form. And the giant body of Putana fell and smashed thousands of trees under her. It is said her body of the body of Putana was 12 miles long, and all the trees that were around her at that point, she crashed and killed, destroyed all those trees. So eventually, when Putana died, the Vrajavasis, they cut the body of Putana into small pieces, and they threw the pieces of Putana's body very far away, and they put a lot of logs of woods and all, and they burnt all those pieces of Putana's body. But because Krishna had sucked her breast, she was freed from all material contamination. All her sinful reactions had automatically vanished, and therefore the smoke emanating from her body was fragrant like the aguru incense. In fact, Jiva Goswami says the fragrance of Putana was more fragrant than aguru. It is said aguru is a very special form of incense. It's one of the most fragrant substances in the world. So if there is anything really, really fragrant in this world, it is aguru. Malaya Seva Chandanam, it is like Malaya Chandan is much lesser fragrant than aguru, basically. So aguru fragrance was exceeded by Putana's fragrance, basically. So you can imagine how fragrant Putana became. And the reason her body was so fragrant, became so fragrant, was because Krishna drank milk from her body. Krishna touched her body, basically. And so because Krishna had enjoyed her, he manifested his own supreme fragrance in her body. So the fragrance that the Vrajavasis smelled of Putana was the fragrance of Krishna that emanated from her because Krishna had touched her. So then, and Jiva Goswami explains, the smoke that came out from Putana's body after the burning of Putana's body, that smoke destroyed all the sins and wickedness of all those people who smelled it. So you can imagine, not only was her body fragrant more than a guru, but anyone who smelled that smoke, they got freed from all sins and wickedness. That is how Krishna is. This is the glory of Krishna's remnants. Krishna drank her milk, right? So because she drank her milk, technically Putana has become Mahaprasad of Krishna, and the entire body of Putana has become like, remnants of Krishna. And that is the kind of fragrance that came out of Krishna's body. So when Kunti Maharani is saying that, you are born in the family of Yadus, and the family of Yadus has become fragrant, just like the Malaya's Chandan, So what she's trying to say is that anyone who comes in touch with you, anyone who comes in contact with you, they become fragrant. So fragrance simply is another way to say that it becomes sinless, basically. The next prayer of Kunti Maharani is a very beautiful one. Apare Vasudevasya Devakyam Yachito Bhyagat Ajastvam Asya Shemaya Vadhaya Cha Suradvisham. Kunti Maharani is saying, others say that since both Vasudeva and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly, you are unborn, and yet you take your birth for the welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigods. Look at this. This verse coming exactly, on the week of Janmashtami is so special, isn't it? So I'm going to share with you all something fantastic that I read recently, and this is a story that comes in the Gopal Champu. It is said that Gopal Champu explains that Nanda Maharaj had two poets in his court, Snigdakanta and Madhukanta. They were the names of the two poets. The word Snigdakanta means the one whose voice is laden with affection. So that means whatever he speaks, there is so much of love coming out from his voice. And the other one, Madhukanta, it means the one whose voice is laden with nectar. Whatever he speaks sounds like nectar, feels like nectar. So Madhukanta and Snigdakanta. So both of them one day began to tell the story of the birth of Krishna. How Nanda got a son. So they explained, this is in a full court where Nanda Maharaj is all the citizens of Gokula there, and so it's like a public what do you call it, a recitation. There are bards that talk about the family and all that. So Snigdakanta and Madhukanta, they say that Nanda Maharaj had done so many sacrifices, but he still had no son. And in fact, not only Nanda, but all the Vrajavasis had done so many sacrifices just for Nanda to have a son, but he still didn't have a son. In fact, Yashoda gave up eating and was always with her head hanging down and crying. One day, Yashoda told Nanda that we have done so many tapasyas, but we still have not done the Dwadasi Vrata. So she said, so let us do the Dwadasi Parama Vrata. So Nanda Maharaj immediately agreed, and both of them observed this Dwadasi Parama Vrata for 1 year period. And at the end of 1 year, Nanda Maharaj had a dream. In his dream, Lord Hari appeared, and he said, being very pleased with you, Lord Hari said, your desire will be fulfilled very soon. And he said, every kalpa I appear as your son, and in this kalpa also I will come. Then Nanda Maharaj's sleep broke, and it was early in the morning. The birds were chirping, and he and Yashoda went to the river Yamuna to have a bath. He took along with him a lot of charity, and all the demigods at that point in time appeared as beggars, and they received charity from Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj gave charity to all the demigods, and they all Nanda returned home. So at that time, a brahmacharini comes, and hearing this, Nanda and Yashoda invite her home, and Yashoda sits next to her, puts her head on her lap and begins to cry profusely. And Yashoda takes hold of the feet of this brahmacharini, and this brahmacharini takes Yashoda on her lap, and she tells her, don't worry, very soon a nice son will come and take birth. So all the Vrajavasis become very happy hearing this, and they build a beautiful cottage for this brahmacharini to stay, and she starts staying in Gokul only with them. Then on the night of the Krishna Pratipat, this is the first day of the dark fortnight of the month of Magha. Nanda Maharaj has another dream. In this dream, he saw a baby with a blue complexion floating in the sky. And then he sees a girl with a golden complexion floating along with the sky. And the two of them enter into the heart of Nanda Maharaj. And then from the heart of Nanda Maharaj, they enter into the womb of Mother Yashoda. And this way, Yashoda becomes pregnant and the whole of Vrindavan begins to celebrate. After 8 months of pregnancy, on the 8th day of the dark fortnight of the moon of the month of Bhadra, the nurse declared that today the child will be born. The nurse declares like that, And the maternity ward was prepared and the maternity ward was decorated. Flower garlands were hung all around and all the gods became so joyful. Indradev showered heavy rains that day and everyone was drowning in an ocean of joy. The child was Putra Ratna, a son who was like an invaluable gem. Exactly at that time, Yashoda gave birth to Krishna in Vrindavan. And at the same time, in Mathura, in the jail, Devaki gives birth to another child. So when Yashoda gave birth to a child in Vrindavan, to Krishna in Vrindavan, at the same time, Devaki gave birth to another child in Mathura. The child of Devaki, the difference between the two children is that the child of Yashoda was a blue boy with 2 hands. And the child of Devaki was a blue boy with 4 hands. And the child of Devaki appeared with 4 hands with a crown on his head and holding Shankha Chakra Gada Padma. Devaki immediately paid obeisances and started offering prayers to this child. Vasudeva immediately took a bath. Now if you're wondering how will he have a bath in the prison? He had a bath in his mind. He did what is known as Manas Snan. Of course, we are not allowed to do Manas Snan, Many people before chanting they do Manas Snan. I mean, if you have no other option, it's fine, but ideally you should have a proper Snan. So Vasudeva did a Manas Snan and in his mind he observed a grand festival and he gave out innumerable cows in charity. Lord Narayan, who was born to them, he told Vasudeva, take me to Gokul and place me on the lap of Yashoda. Vasudeva picked up this little baby, the shackles opened up, the prison door opened up, and he immediately left from Mathura towards Vrindavan. When Vasudeva stepped out of the jail of Mathura, at that time Yashoda gave birth to a second child. And this time, the second baby that was born was a girl. And it is explained that when Vasudeva reached the Yamuna river was flooded. He was thinking, how will I cross it? And just as he was thinking how to cross it, at that time, he saw Mahamaya in the form of a fox, a she-jackal. And this she-jackal crossed the Yamuna river. And Vasudeva just followed her along, And he reached Nanda Bhavan. So now you might, he's in Mathura in a jail. So if you're wondering how did he get GPS location of Gokul, he has on live GPS location following, The she-jackal went ahead and he just followed Mahamaya. And he reached Nanda Bhavan. And when he reached Nanda Bhavan, he put the son that he had on the lap of Mother Yashoda. And he took the daughter of Yashoda with him. Hearing this, Snigdha Kanda said, hey, wait a minute. Yashoda gave birth to a son and a daughter. How come Vasudeva took the daughter? What about the son? Madhukanta explained, this is a secret, a highly confidential secret that no one knows. Yashoda's daughter was Shakshat Yogamaya. And by her potency, she kept the son of Nanda hidden. So when Vasudeva came, he could not see son only. He only saw one girl. one daughter. So, Nanda, the son of Nanda, is Swayam Bhagavan. And all the avatars are the expansions or portions of that child. So, from the womb of Devaki comes a form of Krishna who is known as Prabhava Prakash of Krishna. So, that means he is a portion of Krishna. And so Krishna has two types of expansions. There is Prabhava Prakash and there is Vaibhava Prakash. So in Prabhava Prakash, there are two types. There is temporary category in Prabhava Prakash. The temporary category in Prabhava Prakash are incarnations like Mohini Murti, Hamsa Avatar, Shukla Avatar. All of these are temporary. And in Prabhava Prakash, there is an eternal category. And in this, personality like Dhanvantri, Rishabha, Vyasa, Dattatreya, Kapila, all of them, they are the eternal category. So, there is Prabhava Prakash and Vaibhava Prakash, right? So, Prabhava Prakash are expansions of Krishna, incarnations, and Vaibhava Prakash are partial expansions. So, in this comes Kurma, Matsya, Narsimha, Vaman, Naranarayan, Varaha, Hayagriva, etc. When Krishna himself comes, when Swayam Bhagavan comes, in him all of these incarnations are present. So when Krishna himself comes as the son of Yashoda in Vrindavan, all these incarnations, Prabhava Prakash as well as Vaibhava Prakash, all of them are there inside him. And when Vasudeva got his baby here, who is Vasudeva's baby? Vasudeva's baby is one of the expansions of Krishna. When Vasudeva got his baby here, Vasudeva's baby merged into Krishna that was lying over there. So there is only one son in the end, basically. In the end, there is only one Krishna. And just like all the rivers enter into an ocean, similarly all plenary expansions of the Lord enter into Krishna. So when Yashoda gave birth to Krishna, all were asleep. Every single one of them was sleeping through the whole night. And in the morning, Lord Hari started crying. Kwa, 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 he started crying. And when Krishna started crying in the morning, everyone woke up with the cry of Krishna. What a beautiful alarm clock, isn't it? What a way to get up. Hearing the cry of Krishna. Like the crying of Krishna is like literally the Vedas, right? Yashoda woke up to see her wonderful son sleeping next to her. And everyone was thinking, what a beautiful baby. What fragrant scent he has. And his body was of the color of Ujjvala Neelamani, dazzling blue jewel. And his body was like Nava Jala Dhara. That means like a newly born cloud, rain cloud. And his body was like a Tamala Taru, the color of a Tamal tree. And Krishna was born with a Kasturi Tilak on his forehead and with a Kaustubh mani around his neck. And his eyes, there was black kajal already there when he was born. And he had curly hair on his head. And he had Suvarna Kuntala. That means his fingers were very beautiful like fishes. And it's explained that Krishna in his palms, he had all auspicious signs. And Krishna did not want anybody to see that. So therefore he closed his hands. So when he was born with his fist closed. And he was like crying with his fist closed. Yashoda saw that the baby she had given birth to was transparent like a mirror. And when she saw Krishna's body, she could see her own reflection. And she panicked for a moment. She thought, oh, this woman has come to take away my son. She thought, this is a witch. She's telling her, get out, So Yashoda is seeing her own reflection in Krishna's body. And milk started flowing out of Yashoda's breast. And tears started flowing out of her eyes. Yashoda never offered prayers to Krishna. It is said, Devaki's Vatsalya is mixed with Jnana and Aishwarya. Yashoda and Nanda's Vatsalya is unmixed. It's pure Vatsalya, basically. And everyone in Vrindavan was so blissful that day with the birth of this child. Nanda Maharaj took a bath, not a manastan. He actually took a bath. And he performed Jata Karma Sanskar, purificatory ceremony for the child. And seeing this beautiful form of this child, Nanda began to dance blissfully. As Nanda was dancing, all the Gopas and Gopis began to dance. Seeing the Gopas and Gopis dance, in the heavens the demigods began to dance. In the Patala Loka, the snakes began to dance. In the inner quarters, Yashoda began to dance. Shiva was dancing, Brahma was dancing, Indra was dancing. Everyone was so blissfully dancing with the birth of this child. The blue gem, Neelamani, Lord Krishna, was born today. So here, Mother Kunti is celebrating this birth of Krishna. And she is remembering this birth of Krishna here in this very, very beautiful verse. So, when she remembers the birth of Krishna, when she remembers that Krishna is born, she immediately remembers why Krishna was born. And that's what she says in the next verse. This is verse number 34. Bharavataran Nayanye Bharavataran Nayanye Bhuvo Nuva Ivo Dadao Bhuvo Nava Ivo Dadao Siddhantya Bhuri Bharena Jato hi Atma Bhuvartita. Others say that the world being overburdened like a boat at sea is much aggrieved, and that Brahma, who is your son, prayed for you, and so you have appeared here to diminish the trouble. So this very specific verse is about how Krishna is a reliever, is a relief to everybody. So all of us are in this material world, and there's a lot of tribulations and pains that one goes through, right? So each and every one of us has different varieties of pains and troubles and difficulties that we all go through. So Krishna's purpose of coming into this world is to give relief to all the living entities. So I'm going to share with you all a very beautiful story. There's a place in Kerala named Mellapattur, and in that place there used to be a person whose name was Narayan Bhattadri. He lived in this place, in this village, and his guru, Narayan Bhattadri's guru, he had a very, very difficult disease, suffered very badly. So, Narayan Bhattadri's guru, he had this disease of, it's like, it is a particular type of bone, pain, osteoporosis, rheumatic osteoporosis. Huh? Arthritis, yeah. Rheumatoid arthritis, it's called, yeah. So it is a very, very painful type of rheumatoid arthritis that he had. And it was so painful that he could not even move or walk. Narayan Bhattadri, he felt very bad for his guru. And he used his yogic siddhis, yogic powers, and took the pain of his guru on himself. And the guru became cured. And Narayan Bhattadri got this pain. And now he got so much pain, though no matter what kind of painkiller, no matter what kind of medicines he was taking, he was just not able to deal with that pain. And none of the treatments worked. So Narayan Bhattadri sent one of his disciples to an astrologer. He sent his astrological charts to an astrologer through one of his disciples named Gopalan. So this disciple went to the astrologer and came running back to his guru, Narayan Bhattadri. And the disciple said, I can't even tell you the remedy that this fellow said, this astrologer said. Very, very obnoxious. How can you even say that? This astrologer seems to be the wrong person. We shouldn't go to him. Narayan Bhattadri said, just tell me what he said. And then this disciple explained, the astrologer said, that your guru should go in front of Guruvayurappan. In Kerala there is this temple of Guruvayur. He said, your guru should go in front of Guruvayurappan and touch his tongue to a fish and sing. This disciple said, how can he use such a solution? How can Vaishnava touch fish to their tongue? Is it even right for him to give such a solution? Narayan Bhattadri said, Hare, the meaning of this person's words is something else only. He doesn't mean that you actually take a fish and touch it to your tongue. What he is saying is, he is referring to Matsya Avatar, who is one of the 10 prominent incarnations. He said, touch the fish to the tongue means start with glorification of Matsya. Start with the glorification of Matsya Avatar and then sing all the glories of all the incarnations. This is what the astrologer meant. So Narayan Bhattadri said, let us go to Guruvayur immediately. So the question was, how could he go to Guruvayur? Because it is so far away, he couldn't even get up and stand literally. So all the disciples, they decided to carry him in a palki to Guruvayur. So all the disciples, they put him in a palki, they carried him all the way to Guruvayur. And he was brought in front of the deities of Guruvayur and he began to sing. But his state was so bad that he could not even turn his neck. So he was, lying down there in front of Guruvayur, but he could not even turn his neck and look at the deities. So he was feeling so bad. So he started telling Guruvayur that he began to cry. And he said, my dear Lord, I'm so in such a bad shape, I can't even turn my neck towards you. The Lord said, don't worry, you may not be able to turn your neck, I can turn my neck in all directions. You just sing, I will turn my neck in all directions and see you. So Bhattadri began to sing. And as Bhattadri was singing, Narayan Bhattadri was singing, Guruvayur began to relish the singing of Narayan Bhattadri. And he was relishing so much that he was shaking his head for everything Narayan Bhattadri was saying. Yes, 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 like that he was shaking his head basically. And it is said, Narayan Bhattadri sang for 100 days. Every day he composed 10 new shlokas for glorification of the Lord. And in 100 days, he composed 1000 shlokas, basically. And this 1000 shlokas that Narayan Bhattadri composed is known as a Narayaniam. It is a concise form of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam in 1000 verses, basically. And the beauty of Narayaniam is that all the 1000 shlokas are composed in first person. So that means he sang directly to Guruvayur. And he is telling him, the Bhagavatam says, the Lord did this past time. Like that the Bhagavatam describes. But in Narayaniam, Narayan Bhattadri says, you did this, Guruvayurappan, you did this. He's directly addressing the Lord, basically. You did this. And he is shaking his head. Yes, yes, I did this, So through the whole composition, Guruvayurappan is shaking his head. So practically, this is the only composition where the Lord directly is the audience and he is shaking and agreeing to everything that he is saying, basically. And each time Guruvayurappan shook his head, agreed to every shloka. So the end of 100 days of composing the entire Narayaniam, this devotee Narayan Bhattadri's disease went away. He became completely cured of this such a bad pain. After that, this Bhattadri went to that astrologer and he asked him, why did you say that I should start by touching the fish to my tongue? And he said, Guruvayur is Krishna himself. So why should I sing about all other incarnations, So I should have, you should have ideally told me sing about Krishna only. Because I am singing in front of Guruvayur, basically. The astrologer said, he gave two reasons. He said the first reason, according to the Bhagavatam, the 10 prominent incarnations should be covered. And the first incarnation is Matsya. Therefore I told you. And the second reason why I told you to first touch fish to your tongue and start is because Matsya Murti is the head of Vak Shakti, the ability to speak. So our ability to speak comes from Matsya Murti. And this astrologer said that when the entire world was drowning, Matsya spoke Vedanta to all the rishis and to King Satyavrat. And so basically the story of Matsya is that he was there was a ocean of inundation. The entire universe was inundating in water. At that time, there was only one boat in which King Satyavrat was there with a few rishis and a few animals. And Matsya tied that boat, to his horn. And Matsya was dragging the boat along in that ocean of, dissolution basically. And while Matsya was dragging this boat along, what to do? There's nothing to do as such, right? Matsya Avatar started reciting the Vedas. And what Matsya spoke at that point of time is today known as Matsya Puran. So because Matsya gave a lecture or a sermon, he is considered to be the head of speech. And one of the names of the Lord from that point of time, he is known as Vachaspati. Vachaspati means that if you ever need to speak in your life, if you are in a situation where you have to speak, at that time, before you start, touch the fish on your tongue and start. That's what the astrologers narrated. So here Kunti Maharani, she is very aptly pointing out that Krishna, you are a relief to this world. So if anybody is going through any kind of pain, any kind of trouble, physically, emotionally, spiritually, in any kind of way, financially, any kind of pain that you're going through, Krishna is the person who can give you relief. All the reliefs of this world are symptomatic, to more or less little bit here and there. But the ultimate relief is Krishna. The next verse, she goes one step further. She is saying Krishna is not just the relief, but he is also the rejuvenator. So relief means when you are in pain, you get relieved. Rejuvenator means even when you are not in pain, there will be times in your life where you feel down, where you feel low. At that time, Krishna can boost you up. And this very beautiful verse Kunti is speaking. Bhavesmin klishyamananam avidya kama karmabhi shravana smaranarhani karisyaniti kechana. And yet others say that you appeared for the sake of rejuvenating the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshipping, and so on, in order that the conditioned souls suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation. So in this verse, Kunti Maharani is giving the classic formula to feel rejuvenated in your spiritual life. If you are ever in a situation of life where you feel that your spiritual life is not progressing, if you feel that you are not making advancement in your spiritual life, if you feel that you are stuck at some point and you are not able to go to the next level, this is Kunti's advice to all those who are spiritual practitioners. What is she saying? You appeared for the sake of rejuvenating devotional service of hearing, remembering, and worshipping. So, Shravana Smaranarhani. So basically, the Acharyas explain that the basics of Krishna consciousness are always going to remain the same. No matter how much you have progressed in your spiritual life, the basics will always remain same. There is a very famous football coach who trains, really powerful teams in football. And whenever they lose a match and the team is really underperforming, the first thing he tells them is go back to basics. And he makes them do the things that they learned on the first day of starting to train for football. And the people are always wondering, what is this? Why are you making us do such basic stuff? Because that's where training begins, basically. So many times as we grow in our spiritual lives, we 5 years, 10 years, 15 years in the movement, at some point we start feeling that what is this? I'm not getting anywhere. All those times, go back to your basics. Chanting, hearing, reading, diet. A, B, C, D. That's all. So, what you heard on the 6th day of your spiritual life, Journey of Self-Discovery course, is what you will hear on the 60th year of your spiritual life. A, B, C, D only. There is nothing new that you have to do. There is nothing, very, very complicated that you have to do. You have to do the same basic stuff. And that is what Kunti Maharani is saying. If you do that, you will feel a sense of rejuvenation. And here is a very beautiful story to help you understand that. Once there were two saints whose name were Gobilar and Gopralayar. Gobilar and Gopralayar. These are two saints, okay? And they wanted to have darshan of Krishna's pastimes. So they came to Dwaraka. So they were walking all the way to Dwaraka. They lived in the south and they went all the way to Dwaraka to have darshan of Krishna and his pastimes. On the way, as they were going to reach Dwaraka, on the way somewhere, they met Narad Muni. And Narad Muni asked them, where are you all going? The two, sages, they said that, oh Narad Muni, we are going to see Krishna's pastimes in Dwaraka. Narad Muni said, Krishna has already wound up his pastime and he left to his abode. So the two sages, they were very, very disappointed. They were very sad that they couldn't, they became unconscious literally. So devastated they were. And when they got up, they were crying that they are not able to have darshan of Krishna's leelas. Narad Muni pacified them. He said, don't worry. He said, go back to your South India. And in South India, there is a place which is known as Mannargudi. There, Krishna is very much there. And that place is known as Dakshin Dwaraka. And he says, I want you to go there and have darshan. And you go and do tapasya over there. When you do tapasya there, Krishna will surely show you his pastimes. So like that, Narad Muni directed them. So these two munis, they went back to the south and they found this place called Mannargudi and they started doing intense tapasya over there. As a result of doing intense tapasya, one day they actually saw Krishna, who came in the form of Para Vasudev to them. And Para Vasudev is the form of Krishna in the Vaikuntha planets. So the Lord gave them darshan. And because they desired to see the pastimes of Krishna, Lord gave them darshan of 32 pastimes of his childhood. And the last pastime of the series of 32 pastimes, the 32nd pastime was him herding cows. So he was like a cowherd boy with a stick around herding cows, And in that particular form of the Lord, he was the last darshan they had. So these munis, they took these 32 different darshans of the Lord, of the 32 different pastimes of Krishna, and they were so happy. And they said, my dear Lord, they expressed to the Lord, they said that we saw your pastimes and, but unfortunately we are in human bodies. We can't absorb too much of these pastimes, So we have not completely absorbed the pastimes. So they said, can you please show the pastimes in a way that they can actually understand the pastimes and absorb the pastimes completely. So that plus they don't want to be attached to the material things around them. So they requested the Lord like that. And Krishna gave them a very interesting answer. Krishna told them that you can see me continuously only if your eyes are spiritual. Only if your eyes are spiritual, you can see me everywhere. Otherwise, you can see me only when I grant you darshan. So he said, right now you have material eyes. So material eyes won't help you. And he said, just like the residents of the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, they can see Krishna's pastimes all over. Wherever they are, they can see Krishna's pastimes going on because their eyes are spiritual eyes. Similarly, it's like nowadays, people wear these Apple, what do you call this? Huh? Apple Vision, right? They have, it's a very, very strange type of this huge thing, glasses they wear. What they can see, we can never see. They see something else only, So they are roaming around in the streets, but they're actually seeing something else. We can never see what they're seeing. Similarly, in the Vaikuntha planets, everyone has special vision. And they can see some pastimes that we can't see. Apparently, we both are standing in the same place, but they are seeing some special pastimes. Apple probably got the idea from Vaikuntha, So Krishna is saying that if you have spiritual eyes, then you can see my pastimes continuously. And then the Lord told them that I will give you all spiritual eyes. And he said, I am going to manifest here in a special form known as Rajagopalan. And the last form that they saw of Krishna holding the stick and herding cows, in that form he incarnated there. So even now in Mannargudi there is a very beautiful Divyadesam where there is a deity of Rajagopalan. And it is said that particular form of the Lord, if you have darshan, it is said he represents the eye of the Supreme Lord. It is said there are many, many temples across India. Each temple represents one of the limbs of the Lord. Like for example, Badrinath in the north, he represents the head of the Lord. Pushkar is considered to be the tongue of the Lord in Pushkar. And Kurukshetra is considered to be the mouth of the Lord. Ayodhya is considered to be the neck of the Lord. Tirupati is considered to be the chest of the Lord. Jagannath Puri is considered to be the stomach of the Lord. And Kurmakshetra is considered to be the back of the Lord. And Varaha Swami, he is considered to be the lower back of the Lord. Kumbhakonam is considered to be the beauty of the Lord. There is a temple in Madurai which is considered to be the two hands of the Lord. And then there is another temple in which is known as Soviraja Swami. He is considered to be the walk of the Lord. So like that, each deity is considered to be one of the limbs of the Lord. And the eyes of the Lord is this Rajagopalan. So he said, so basically Rajagopala Swami told the Munis that you have me as your spiritual eyes. And if you take darshan of me, you will get darshan of all the pastimes that I have done in this material world. And from that time onwards, these two Munis, they didn't leave that place only. Every day they would go and have darshan of Rajagopala Swami, and every day Rajagopala Swami would actually give them spiritual visions. They were seeing pastimes on a daily basis, and they settled down in Madurai, in Mannargudi only, and they lived the rest of their lives over there. So the Supreme Lord is not just a person who gives relief from all your miseries, but he is also the person who rejuvenates your spiritual life. So whenever you feel low in your spiritual life, whenever you feel a lack of rejuvenation in your spiritual life, whenever you feel that something is missing, you can do two things. One, you go back to your basics, do good quality Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. And second, go and have darshan of the deities of the Lord. When you have darshan of the deities of the Lord, you develop spiritual vision. You start developing the ability to see Krishna even where you can't see him apparently, basically. Krishna is known as a rejuvenator for two reasons. One is this story that I shared with you all. But there's another very sweet way in which Krishna rejuvenates us. Krishna rejuvenates us by showing us special affection. It is explained that after Lord Ram comes back after killing Ravan, when he is returning back to Ayodhya, all the Vanaras come along with him. And Lord Ram stops the Pushpak Viman at the ashram of Bharadwaj Muni. So Bharadwaj Muni is a great saint whom Lord Ram told that I'll come back to your ashram before I go to Ayodhya. So he had promised him that. So Lord Ram had to fulfill that promise, so he descended in the Pushpak Viman in Bharadwaj Muni ashram. And then he sent Hanuman to save Bharat. Because Bharat had told him that if you don't come on the 14th, after the 14 years of exile, I will die. So Hanumanji went to save Bharat, and after saving Bharat, and he went and spoke Ramayana over there, and spoke to Bharat and convinced him that Ram has come. After he finished his seva, he came back to Bharadwaj Muni's ashram. When he came back, all the Vanaras were eating a big feast. There was a big feast going on there. And Hanumanji came in the middle of this feast. And when Hanuman came, there was no pattal for him. There was no plates. All the plates were over. And Hanuman didn't have any plate to eat. And nothing was left. No plates were left. So Hanuman was a little awkward. He didn't know what exactly to do. And Lord Ram saw the situation and he told Hanuman, come here, sit in front of me. And Lord Ram made Hanuman sit in front of him, and they both shared the same pattal, same plate. And Lord Ram drew a line with his hand in the middle of his plate. And he said, this side of the plate you eat, this side of the plate I'll eat. Same plate. And it is said from that time onwards, banana leaves have a line in between. If you see that line in between, you should remember that line is drawn by Lord Ram. It's the personal finger of Lord Ram there. So if anything goes inside that, that small, slot in which the banana leaf is, you should remember that it's actually blessed by Lord Ram. So the point over here, the Acharyas explain this particular episode, and they say that how Lord Ram is so amazingly loving to his devotees, that kind of loving reciprocation that one experiences spiritually is something that one never experiences materially. So in all our material, relationships, in all our material experiences of the past, this kind of love will never be experienced. And because the Lord has this kind of love for his devotees, and the devotees of the Lord also have this kind of love, the Lord is called a rejuvenator. So when Kunti Maharani is saying that, Krishna rejuvenates, this is what she's talking about. This is the kind of love that she's talking about, which rejuvenates a person in his spiritual consciousness. The next verse is a very, very beautiful verse that continues in this meditation of Kunti. Shrinvanti gayanti grinanti abhikshana smaranti nandanti tavehitam jana ta eva pashyanti achirena tavakam Bhava pravaho paramam padambujam. She's saying, O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant and repeat your transcendental activities or take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. Krishna is transcendental, and whatever he does is transcendental. And the beautiful aspect of Krishna is that the way he connects with his devotees is very personal. So here we're talking about those who are continuously hearing, chanting, repeating your transcendental activities or take pleasure in others doing so. Certainly see your lotus feet. That is what Kunti is saying. Now, what is the meaning of see your lotus feet? So, essentially, what she's talking about is how each one of us will have an experience of Krishna in our lives. Each one of us will have an experience of Krishna in our life, provided we do good quality chanting, hearing, and remembering the activities of the Lord. So let me tell you all an amazing story that will help us understand this concept better. And at the end of this story, I'm going to tell you all one very beautiful thought and an insight. So there was once a devotee whose name was Tirukuchinambi. And this devotee, he lived in Kanchipuram and he served Varadaraj in person. He was also known as Kanchipurna. So he used to fan Varadaraj. So one day, Varadaraj loved him too much. And so most of the day, he would be alone with the Lord and he would be fanning him. And Varadaraj is also alone, he is also alone. They would be having conversations, Varadaraj would get bored standing there. He would talk to him. Just like he would talk, he would talk to any friend, he would just be talking to this person. So one day, while he was fanning the Lord, the priest of the temple, he brought a pot of sweet pongal for offering to the deities. Big pot of sweet pongal to offer to the Lord. He kept the pot in front of the Lord and he told this Tirukuchinambi, Kanchipurna, he said, just take care of this pot. I'll come back, I'm getting one more pot of Puliogara. This South India, they offer this sweet pongal and Puliogara. It's a very deadly combination, basically. So he went to get the other pot. So while this priest had gone, these deities, Varadaraj spoke to this pujari and he said, please, can you feed me? I want to eat this pongal, I can't wait for him to come back and all that. So Tirukuchinambi was feeling really strange, He said, it's not my duty, I'm only fanning. So the deity said, no. Varadaraj said, just feed me immediately, I want to eat now. So Tirukuchinambi, he took little sweet pongal from in his hand and he went and actually put it in the mouth of Varadaraj. And Varadaraj ate it. And he said, give me more. So little by little he was feeding and Varadaraj was eating. Half the pot was over and the pujari comes over there. And pujari sees in his hand there is sweet rice, sweet pongal over there, all sticky ghee and all that. And half the pot is over. He starts suspecting this fellow ate it. He goes and makes a big hue and cry of it and the whole management is called. He's saying, Tirukuchinambi ate the sweet pongal when I was gone. He couldn't control himself only. He's trying to explain, nobody heard him only. Because who's going to believe, that Varadaraj is eating like that, directly from his hand, because every day they're offering over here. So they removed him from the management and the management removed him. They said, you can't come into the temple because you are, in the altar you're eating the sweet pongal. So this Tirukuchinambi was so devastated. He was crying out to the Lord that I'm missing this fanning seva, And the Lord, he decided to play a pastime. A few days later, there was a devotee from Tirupati who came and he wanted to offer the Lord 100 pots of sweet pongal and 100 pots of Puliogara. And these 200 pots were kept in front of the deities in the altar, And the Lord, he somehow, he came the vision of this pujari and he said, I don't want to eat any of this. Send that Tirukuchinambi over here. So then, there was no other option, but they had to go and find him and get him, over there. And the Lord, he told, close the screen and only me and Tirukuchinambi are going to be there in this altar now. And I want him to fan me while I'm eating the prasad. And everyone was surprised that the Lord is actually giving directions like this. But based on the Lord's order, the screen was closed and Tirukuchinambi was inside fanning the Lord. And right in front of Tirukuchinambi, the Lord ate all 200 pots. And then the screen was opened and people saw 200 pots over. And then the Lord told them, obviously he can't eat all 200 pots, right? So he said, I was the one who ate the 200 and half pot, Why you're blaming him unnecessarily? So then that's when all the people over there, they started glorifying Tirukuchinambi much more than ever before. And Tirukuchinambi was so amazed that, he took one step towards the Lord and the Lord is taking 1,000 steps towards him. And therefore, of the many, many names of the Lord, One very, very interesting and an offbeat name of the Supreme Lord, he is known as Rudra. Now, obviously, one of the meaning of the word Rudra means the one who destroys, right? But there's another meaning of the word Rudra, which is what is so amazing and very apt for this particular, verse. The word Rudra means the one who makes his devotees cry. That is the meaning of the word Rudra. That means the Lord does such amazing things that it just makes the devotee's heart melt and he cries. Each and every one of us in our lives will have our own special experiences with the Lord. And of course, it might be some silly thing, it might be the silliest of things in which the Lord reciprocates with us. Maybe things that we don't even think to be magic or something extraordinary or something. But we can see the hand of the Lord in it. And when we see the hand of the Lord in it, tears come out from our eyes. And therefore the Lord is known as Rudra. And here Kunti Maharani, in her very, very amazing thought process, she's saying, you are a transcendental. That means you have the ability to touch people's hearts who are engaged in Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. Now, we will recite one of the last prayers of Kunti Maharani. Atha Vishveshva Vishvesha Vishvatman Vishvamurte Swakeshu Me Sneha Pasham Imam Chindi Dridam Pandushu Vrishnishu. O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, O personality of the form of the universe, please therefore sever my ties of affection from my kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. So here, Kunti Maharani is ending her prayers literally by calling Krishna as Vishvamurte, Vishvatman, which means the soul of the universe, and Vishvamurte, which means he is the Lord of the universe. So here, specifically Kunti Maharani is saying that Krishna is the topmost person in my life and the topmost person in the universe. In the Chandogya Upanishad, in the 7th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad, there is a particular section known as Bhuma Vidya. And this section talks about the hierarchy. What is the topmost thing in this universe? And the section talks about hierarchy in a very interesting way. It says that words are great, but higher than words is speech, because through speech you can convey words, right? And then it says higher than speech is the mind. There are many people who speak, but when they go on the stage they become blank, because mind becomes blank basically. They can still speak, but nothing comes out because mind is blank. So higher than speech is mind, this Chandogya Upanishad says. But it says higher than mind is determination. So if determination is strong, you can conquer the mind also. And it says higher than determination is focused intelligence. Because with focused intelligence, you can develop determination. And then it says higher than focused intelligence is meditation. Because through meditation, you can develop a focused intelligence. And then it says higher than meditation is Vijnanam, which is self-realization. And it says higher than self-realization. It's amazing. It says higher than self-realization, he says, is good health. Isn't it amazing? Because you cannot have self-realization if your health is not good. So it says higher than self-realization is good health, it says, And then it says higher than good health is good food intake. Eat good food. Because if you don't eat good food, your health will not be good. And then it says higher than good food intake is water. Drink water. Yeah. And then it says higher than water is light. The rays of the sun and the moon, basically. Because the rays, without the rays, you cannot have good food in the earth, you cannot have rains, you can't have anything. Then it says higher than the light of the sun and the moon is space, ether. Because the sun resides in the sky, is stationed in the sky, basically. And then it says higher than the sky, it says is human memory. Human memory is higher than the sky, it says. I mean, they say this famous thing, right? That how many desires you have, as much as there is space in the sky, you keep writing, the number of desires won't get over. All the ink will get over, all the pens of this world will get over, but the number of desires don't get over. So that's how big human memory is, it says. And then it says higher than human memory is enthusiasm. So if you don't have enthusiasm to live, if you don't have enthusiasm to achieve things, if you don't have enthusiasm to do something in your spiritual life, you can't do anything. And then it says higher than enthusiasm is the Atma, the soul. And it says higher than the Atma is Paramatma, the super soul. And it says the Paramatma is called Satyam. Satyam means one who never changes. He is the highest among all. And therefore, he is called Bhuma. The word Bhuma means Bahuma. Very big person. That's what the word Bhuma means, basically. So the Chandogya Upanishad says, amazingly, what an amazing way of describing this concept of Bhuma. The Chandogya Upanishad says, Yatra nanyat pashyati, nanyat shrunoti, nanyat vijanati sa bhuma. What is the meaning of this verse? Let's just try to understand. It's an amazing verse. It says, Yatra nanyat pashyati. That means, seeing one whom the eyes won't see anyone else. And then it says, Nanyat shrunoti. Hearing whom the ears don't want to hear anyone else. Nanyat vijanati. Thinking about whom the mind does not want to think about anyone else. Sa bhuma. That person is called bhuma. So which means, look at the way the Chandogya Upanishad is putting it, Our mind desires are endless, isn't it? We want to see more and more beautiful things, isn't it? We want to hear more and more melodious things. We want to taste more and more tasty things. We want to think more and more. So the Chandogya Upanishad says, the mind never feels it is enough. But the day you come across this one person, Bhuma, who is the highest, after you see him, you don't want to see anybody else. After you hear him, you don't want to hear anybody else. After you think of him, you don't want to think about anybody else. That is the highest. So for all of us, our mind is always unsatisfied, right? So we had at some point, landlines. Then we started having cordless phones. Then we started having dabba phones, whatever we used to call them, And then we started having Android. Then we started having Apple. Then we started having tablets. And we started having so many things. Where's the end to it? There is no end only to it, isn't it? But at some point, when you come across someone whom you feel, bas, I have achieved, I don't want anything higher than this. Krishna is Shrestha. He is the highest of all. Above him, there is no one. And that person, when you attain, you don't want anything else in your life. So Kunti Maharani is concluding her advice, her prayers, by saying that, oh my Lord, you are the highest. After I've achieved you, I don't want anything else in my life. I don't want the Pandus, I don't want the Vrishnis, I don't want anyone else in my life. Because you are the soul of the universe. And now that I have seen you, now that I have heard you, now that I have thought about you, she is saying, I don't want to think about anybody else, I don't want to hear anybody else, I don't want to see anybody else. And she concludes her prayers by this very beautiful verse, which is the last verse of the series that we're going to take up. And this is a very, very famous and a very, very instructive verse of Kunti Maharani. Tvai me ananya vishaya matir madhur pate sakrit ratim udvahatad adha gange vagam udanvati. She's saying, O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn into you without being diverted by anything else. So let us all, so at this point, she is praying to her mind. Just like the Ganges gets naturally attracted to the ocean. If you have seen the Ganges, it's flowing so intensely. Rocks come in between. It flows over the rocks, around the rocks, below the rocks. It will go in any direction, but it will not stop flowing. And where is it flowing so desperately for? It is flowing to reach the ocean. So she's saying, let my mind be like the Ganges, constantly be flowing towards the ocean, which is the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So with this, we come to the end of Kunti Maharani's prayers. Over the last 3 weeks, we have been doing very intense meditation on these prayers. Every prayer of Kunti Maharani is so surcharged with devotion, with instructive lessons, and with so many amazing things that we can meditate on. I highly urge all of you all to chant these prayers of Kunti on a regular basis, meditate on the stories that we discussed and the meaning that we discussed, and let us try to make these prayers very much a part of our lives. The next week is a Janmashtami week. I'm traveling to Goa for about 10 days. We will not be having class the next week. But September, we're going to have class the whole of September. So please block your dates for the whole of September so that we can have a nice series of classes. And we don't want to miss any of them, hopefully. And the next session we are going to be doing is on Bhishma Dev. It is a very, very powerful session that we're going to be doing. So I highly recommend all of you all to be here present personally and take benefit of them. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.